All right. I think we're on the home stretch because the next item on the agenda is the closing keynote speaker, and I have the great pleasure of introducing him. The topic is, what do investors look for when they're getting pitched to make investments in companies? All day, for those of you who've been here for the better part of today, some great companies, some of them young startups, some of them maybe on their second or third startup, some of them more mature. We're honored today to have someone as a closing keynote who I think has a really interesting perspective on this. He's been both on the business side and has run businesses, properties at Yahoo Health, Yahoo Auto, and several others, and has also now crossed over, I'll just say to the other side, I don't know if it's the dark side or the brighter side, and is part of the Comcast Ventures group. So without further ado, please welcome Michael Yang from Comcast Ventures.
Thanks, Chris. We are indeed on the home stretch, but we still got some good stuff coming up. Julie asked me not too long ago to participate in this event and offer the view from an institutional investor's perspective. We've had great panel conversations today from some of the leading thought leaders in this particular market space. We've had a great keynote from Chris today on concussions and where that's going. And what I'm going to try to do is particularly weave it off of the last session that Denise and Ian did and talk about how do venture capitalists in particular think about some of these emerging technologies, some of these entrepreneurs, and some of these companies, and what do we look for as we make our own financial bets and believe in this space. I'm a partner with Comcast Ventures. As the name implies, we are a venture capital firm affiliated with Comcast Corporation. We invested in Chris's company, Body Media, last summer, and that was after a good year and a half's worth of research and diligence on this opportunity. So we are big believers in fitness tech. What I'm going to really focus my conversation today with you guys on is going to be more on the body monitoring, the wearable devices, and the activity tracking space. If you guys have seen any of the press here running up to CES, a lot of it was really focused on 2013 being the year of the fitness or health device, and we very much subscribe to that point of view. So it's January, it's CES, it's about electronics, it's about gadgets, it's also when people announce and launch new products. I think I must have revved this slide about 5 times between this week, last week, and the weeks prior with all the new announcements for products that have come out. What I think is particularly interesting is the fact that CES being in January and us being in the fitness and health space is the fact that it's coming on the backs of a bunch of New Year's resolutions. And what do people do? They decide they want to get fitter, they want to lose weight, they want to exercise more, and it's a perfect time to kind of announce and bring these products to market. But increasingly, products aren't just about devices. We heard a lot today about hardware-based form factors, yet this space is increasingly going to be about the software. And there are a lot of products and a lot of companies and entrepreneurs that are working with software and app-centric models. And that can only be because of the rise of the smartphone and the fact that we have Apple, as well as Google Android, who have dominated. We have hundreds of free apps in the fitness arena in both the iTunes Store as well as the Google Play Store, and that doesn't even include the myriad of diet as well as food logging apps that are also out there as well. So the question that we always ask as investors is, why now? Why write a check now? Why bet on a particular company versus next year or the year after? And for us, there are really 2 particular anchors to why we decided to kind of get involved recently. The first is the fact that, let's face it, we are unhealthy here in America. Every week there seems to be a new study about some obesity statistic that scares the bejesus out of people. I think, for those of us who are tracking the economics of healthcare in America, they're appalling. It's increasingly expensive to deliver healthcare here, and that is leading to the rise of consumerization of healthcare. Dollars are being shifted from employers to employees, and let's think about that. In America, we are one of the few societies where the majority of us get our healthcare insurance underwritten and supported by the companies that we work with. We have no visibility into how much we spend, how good that spending of healthcare is. And as this changes, because people can't, on the company and employer side, cannot continue to fund it, the buck is increasingly coming down our way. And as consumers, we need to take more control. So we very much think that in the unhealthy society that we all live in today, we are all increasingly becoming our own doctors, and it's becoming more of a do-it-yourself kind of model. The other side is obviously all the technology. Just walk around here at CES. You can see tremendous advents and new technologies. And I think for this particular space, there's really two things that have really been catalysts. The first is that image of an accelerometer. So the interesting thing here is, in some way, all of us here in fitness tech, we are descendants of the original pedometer. The pedometer is generally associated with Thomas Jefferson and bringing the technology over from France to the US back in the 1700s, little known tidbit. But today, the accelerometer has become so powerful as a single sensor that's enabled so much of the motion and activity tracking that we've seen throughout the day. The other thing is, because you have great sensors now, and you could do so much and collect and spawn off so much data, you are generating excess data, big data, which is a big term in the software landscape today. We are collecting more data, we are storing more data, we are computing and analyzing it a lot more than ever, and the software developments are allowing us to infer, to estimate, and get better accuracy on what the human body is actually doing based off of these devices. I think another thing that's really critical is to think about how technology has modified human behavior, and especially for the benefit of this product category. So there's really two themes here that I think are particularly accentuated. One is mobile, and the other one is social. And you've probably heard a lot of VCs talk about mobile and social. So let's think about it again in the context of fitness tech. On mobile, over the last many years, the wireless guys have kind of increased the capabilities of their network so that we've gone from a 3G environment into a 4G environment. And the need for speed and for all the app developers and technologists who can take advantage of that has continued to proliferate. I mentioned Apple and Google Android not too long ago. I think there was a stat that came out this morning. Apple has said they have over 700,000 apps in the iTunes store, and Android earlier this year said that they've exceeded 1 million apps. So we are purely in an app-centric economy. You don't go anywhere today without your mobile phone, and it's largely because of these two particular people. And then, lest I forget and not mention Bluetooth. You heard on earlier panels today a lot of lamenting on battery and power and all that stuff. Where Bluetooth is going and where a lot of manufacturers and products are going is leveraging that so we can be in a world of continuous syncing. And what does that mean? That means you can actually have continuous monitoring of these devices of your body. That's never been able to be done before. And again, this is all because of the great mobile technologies that are coming to bear. Now on the social side, and we've had a couple panels again talk about community and a lot of that. A few years ago, nobody would have been talking about your social graph. Today, we have a social graph, we have a health graph, we have numerous graphs that we're all tracking to. We have been completely habitualized, especially the younger generation. You look at any teenagers today, they are constantly publishing everything there is to know about their own lives. And I think what's interesting, we didn't talk about as much today, is the role of video and of platforms like YouTube. If you think about it, video is the manifestation of the ultimate and most expressive form of media. You could do a lot of things in text and photos, but sharing a video, and we heard it earlier today, that is the pinnacle. And that could be from a workout, that could be, look at all the great videos that GoPro enables, from the extreme sports perspective. And we expect more and more of that in this environment. And then lastly, we also heard a lot today on gamification. Let's just face it, in America, we like to achieve and we like to compete, right? Everyone wants to know what level you're at. Everyone wants to collect points. They want to get rewarded for stuff. They want to compare this badge versus another badge. We want to be in contests, and we want to see ourselves on the top of the leaderboard. So these two things, mobile and social, and all their subcomponents, are again helping all the technologies and the companies and products that you see before you. So where is this leading us to? So we've observed through kind of the companies and the entrepreneurs and the thought leaders that we've met over the last several months, a couple of key trends. And the first one I want to talk about is heart rate. So I showed you an image of an accelerometer earlier. That's a single sensor, focuses on motion and activity tracking, does a lot of great stuff, but can only do a certain amount. We think the next battleground is going to be around heart rate, and you heard a lot of talk today about heart rate. 40 years ago, Polar Electro brought to market the first wireless chest strap to monitor your heart rate. Today, you have all sorts of companies coming to market with products there. And the gentleman this morning from Polar just said, hey, it was quite lonely for a while. So it's actually great when you have more vendors, more products in the marketplace, because it validates that and it helps increase awareness to consumers. Well, we're going to have that now. You have chest straps, you have wrist devices, you have things on the forearm, you have things on the arm, you have things on the ear that are all going to be focused on measuring heart rate. Heart rate is a hard thing to do, and as we sit back and look at it, we're very encouraged to kind of see where this is going to go, and evenly more encouraged to see with all the data that comes off of heart rate. You think there's a lot of data today off of accelerometers. It's going to be orders of magnitude greater as people start looking at heart rate and heart rate variability. One of the direct descendants of and beneficiaries of heart rate is then markets and conditions like stress. Everything we've talked about today has been about let's get in shape, let's lose weight, let's be a higher performing athlete. Well, there are other conditions of physiological states that, correspond to kind of, being a healthier person. Stress is one of them. So it's interesting, there are a couple of companies right now focused on measuring stress, on anxiety, again, from a device and a monitoring perspective. Sleep is another one. The comments were already made earlier today. If you don't sleep well, you're going to overeat or eat bad food, and that's going to lead to kind of less healthy states. Sleep monitoring has not been as successful as we would have hoped for as venture investors, and we continue to look for companies that are going to push that. I think a lot of the general purpose devices are going to amp up their product and development efforts on sleep. It's kind of that next epidemic in America that needs to kind of get out there. I'm highlighting two different sleep-oriented monitoring companies that are in different markets, not in our market per se. BAM Labs is actually focused on measuring sleep in the form of a mattress pad for seniors, and kind of have you fallen out of bed? Are we turning you over and in assisted living care? Very interesting. Rest Devices is actually a onesie for infants, to kind of get ahead of SIDS and looking at, how well infants are sleeping and breathing and the like. And then, tying into what Chris spoke today about at lunch, MC10, X2 impact, concussions, and all that kind of stuff is critical. And then we have companies that are starting to look at posture and back pain, which from the likes of Lumobac, which we also think is increasingly fascinating. So, monitoring today and the conversation we've heard has primarily been around fitness, but we think it's going to continue to broaden into adjacent states. And it's going to broaden into other form factors. We've already hit on adhesives and patches. It seems to be the new thing. Body Media, Avery Dennison have an effort together, and you could see some of that. Vital Connect's another company that's working on a patch, and then Sano Intelligence is working on a patch to measure blood chemistry. Monitoring is also jumping the fences and getting into more clinical, medical, and healthcare applications. What's interesting in this market, we believe, is that the fitness and consumer-centric monitoring technologies are the leading edge and pulling and jumping into some of these other realms. So what you see here on the left-hand side is actually a watch from Smartwatch that measures epileptic seizures. That's a really scary situation. If you have a seizure in a public environment and you're unconscious, conscious, you could get run over. So having alerts and notifications and all that are great. There was a comment earlier today about the Star Trek tricorder. Well, that's what Scanadu is doing right there on the right-hand side with their Scout product. It's early days, but they have a long and rich roadmap to continue to fulfill that science fiction vision on a true tricorder that can really detect what's going on with you. And lastly, in the bottom right, you have a live core, which is looking at ECG, you know, as a class 1 device to a smartphone. You know, fascinating. Again, back to heart rate, and our belief that that is one of the next major sensor battlegrounds out there. So what else is going in this market? And there was a great question from one of the audience members earlier about crowdfunding. Well, you know, the funny thing is capital will find its way. It's like water. It will find its way to the right market opportunities. And in 2012, there are some really interesting ways to kind of get your products or your companies funded. So I'm going to start with incubators and accelerators. How many of you guys have heard of Y Combinator? You know, great outfit in Mountain View, California. They've spawned the likes of companies such as Dropbox and Airbnb. And, you know, every half a year, a bunch of companies go in and graduate and on to better things. Well, that model has been applied to our space. We have 2 flagship organizations, Microsoft and Nike, who have created, with the help of a Techstars organization, incubator and accelerator programs where roughly a dozen companies go in. They get $20,000. They get access to software. They get access to hardware, sometimes proprietary, sometimes early access. They get access to mentorship with the goal of graduating in a 3-month time period to seek institutional funding. Now, to do this, you have to actually give up 6% of your company, but I think for a lot of young entrepreneurs, you know, it's a great foundation and way to kind of get going in a marketplace. Microsoft is obviously doing it in conjunction with their Connect and gesture and motion platform, and Nike is obviously doing it in conjunction with their Nike Plus and FuelBand platform. We talked about crowdfunding. You know, 2 of the success stories in this market are Mio and their Alpha product on Kickstarter, and then Misfit Wearables and Shine on the Indiegogo platform. Indiegogo and Kickstarter are competing platforms, but you see, and you know, as Ian mentioned on the last one, sometimes it's not just about the dollars raised. You know, the pledges here were under $1 million. It's more about, you know, getting product market fit, market validation, and in our eyes, the ultimate form of market research and focus groups. If you get somebody to put dollars where their mouth is, that's pretty compelling. And sorry, I'll leave with one last thing, and actually the most eye-dropping thing, in my opinion. For those of us who are producing hardware units, a lot of times we have contract manufacturing organizations that we collaborate with. There is none bigger and more expansive and leading than Foxconn. You probably know Foxconn as the folks who make all of Apple's products effectively. You know, some people say that 40% of all consumer electronics in the world are produced by Foxconn. Foxconn wrote an insane check into GoPro right before the holidays to that tune. Now think about it. Because they are making so many consumer electronics, they have complete market visibility into what sells. So, you know, a company that we should all think is going to do quite well is going to be GoPro, because Foxconn hasn't produced for them yet, but they clearly want to get into that action. So think about your manufacturers as potential sources of capital as well. All of this is really supporting, in our minds, 3 consumer principles: convenience, performance, and value. Convenience is really ease of use, and you heard that so much today. You know, what is the out-of-box experience to put on the device or use the software? It better be brain-dead easy, or else you're going to lose the user. Performance is twofold, frankly. It's performance of the device. We've talked about things like battery life, but frankly, performance could also be things like, is it going to be waterproof? You know, how accurate is it? And then also performance, we also think about it is for the benefit of the user in a human body perspective. You know, at the end of the day, these monitoring devices are helping us strive for a particular goal, either lose weight, be a better athlete, et cetera. So if we are not getting superior physiological performance out of it, this category is also not going to work. And then lastly, value. value is the equation that the consumer gets when they part with their money for the product that you're offering. We heard a lot about, is it a $100 price point as a magical window? Is it a $200 price point? You know, we have a perspective that things need to get under $100 in order to kind of move this market into a bigger and broader kind of adoption rate. I think the other thing that is not spoken is really total cost of ownership. There are different business models that can be applied in this market. You could sell the hardware, give the software for free. For those of us who are in the software-only, app-only world, the software could be free for a limited period, and then you could upsell them or have in-app purchases to kind of superior and premium products. So you got to think about that as well. So bringing it back to a venture capital and institutional investors' perspective, what are the things that we look at when we assess these opportunities? Generally speaking, there are 5 attributes that we try to tick down. The first is market opportunity. You heard that on the last panel. If it's not going to be big, it's not worth our while, and frankly, it's not going to be worth your while. Second is competitive advantage. I started this presentation with a screenshot of all those products. That's great on one hand, but those are all your competitors on the other hand as well. So how is it that you stand out relative to everybody else? I like to think that the buyer at Best Buy for fitness and health products, that is the hardest job on the planet right now, because he or she is getting besieged by all these manufacturers and brands. And how do they possibly know who to carry, who to put on the shelf, what's going to sell? You know, that's a tough job. And increasingly, I think people need to find points of differentiation and competitive advantage, and we're going to start to see leaders separate from the pack. Business model. You have to have, in venture terms, compelling unit economics. If you can't acquire a customer, sell a unit at good margins, there's no long-term sustainable business. In the web world, you see a lot of people work at a deficit, but given that we're talking about hardware and software at times here, you know, things have to be kind of profitable right from the get-go. And obviously, you know, a couple more things here, team. This is a tough space. You have to have a lot of great skills to kind of go about it. You know, a lot of times VCs really invest on team. Markets might change. Today's market's around fitness. It might evolve into some of those markets that I shared earlier. So can a team pivot and really go after the white space? And lastly, let's face it, as investors, you know, we're putting money to work. We have a fiduciary obligation to wherever we source our capital to make a return off of that. So, you know, there's a fair exchange there in terms of what the value of a business is when we write a check. So, you know, I wanted to at least give some perspectives on what we've seen from some of the conversations, pitches, and business plans over the last little bit. And part of it is starting to scare me a little bit. For some reason or another, we've started to see very consistent operational playbooks, almost to the point that somebody must have published a great blog that says, if you're going to create a device in this space, these are the things that you're supposed to do. And anytime we see a lot of consistency, we're concerned that it might be a herd mentality, and people haven't really thought through how to execute the business they want to go after. So let me stop for a minute and talk about 2 things, one on product and one on distribution. You often come into this space and say, we've built this device, it's using some sort of science, ends typically in something graphy, right? And they claim they've done some studies and some research and some benchmarking against it. To date, we have been extremely disappointed in this market space on the level of efficacy, investigation, and publishing of white paper studies and all that kind of stuff to substantiate the science as well as the algorithms behind what these products are doing, right? Increasingly, consumers are going to rely on what our products are saying they are doing, you know, from a performance or an activity perspective. If we get it wrong, and a comment was made earlier today on one of the panels, they are deathly scared of bad implications from these devices and these apps. That does nobody any good. So, you know, the challenge that we lay down to everybody in this industry is to start doing more ruthless, rigorous research, be willing to publish and expose it, and challenge yourself to have the highest bar on that front. I've already talked about the price point. Too many plans come in with the assumption that we'll start at, call it 150 bucks. Once we get to scale, we'll be down to 75, 50 bucks or something like that. It's really hard to do, especially hard to do if everyone is coming in trying to assume that. There's just not enough volume and demand in the marketplace just yet. So can you operate a business if your price point is going to be stuck above a certain price point? And then the last thing, which is actually a personal pet peeve of mine, is the battleground for the wrist, okay? So think about all the products that you've seen here today and have read about. Everyone is going after the wrist, okay? That is the most precious physical real estate out there. I wear a watch. My wife gave this watch to me for our wedding. It has sentimental value, so I won't be putting on anything there. But, when we're looking at that wrist area, should it be a functional health and fitness device? Should it be a watch? Should it be a piece of jewelry? What should it be? And are you expecting people to kind of take it on and off? So these are some of the things that we need to think about. The wrist, more often than not, is the part on the human body where most of the products in our category are going after. And I would just ask people to kind of think about that. And then let me transition for a second and talk about distribution. I said the poor buyer from Best Buy, that's the toughest job out there. A comment was made earlier, if you can sell your products online, that's great. Just because you build it doesn't mean people are going to come. If you want to sell it online, you better have a search engine marketing expert on your team, right? Because everyone else is trying to sell it online. You want to sell it on Amazon? Guess what? Everyone else is kind of going to do it as well. So retail and online distribution is great. It's kind of like the table stakes, but think through other forms of distribution to kind of propel your product sales. And the last one, which is also a funny one that we have heard quite a bit of in the last 6 months, which is, well, if I can't sell it direct to consumer, I'm going to go the corporate wellness route. I started my conversation earlier by saying the majority of us in America get our health care provided by our employers. Well, now everyone's realizing, wow, Bank of America has 300,000 employees. IBM has 500,000 employees. What if we could get activity monitor or wearable to every one of those folks? Let's time out for a second. Do you really think one of those corporate entities is going to tell every one of their employees to wear one of these devices, even if their healthcare costs are going through the roof? It's just not going to happen, right? And the sales and marketing and customer support infrastructure on your part to service those audiences is very different than going to Target or CVS or anything else like that. So in closing, Julie asked me to kind of give some forward-thinking thoughts. And, we're supposed to be here today to talk about fitness, sports, and outdoors. Obviously, the market that I know best is more around fitness, but I'll try to give it a shot at all three markets. With regard to fitness, the question still is, and the skeptics here at CES are going to continue to challenge everyone here in the room, how mainstream does this market space become, right? And I'm hoping in 2013, as a group, we nail that, so no longer are we answering press questions around that. The other thing, from a prediction perspective, which I'm going to try to be provocative, is there's going to be as many of us leaving this market because we can't hack it, or our product doesn't work, or we don't have the resources to kind of continue to compete in it, as new people continue into the market. We already started to see that in 2012, where a couple companies, a couple products folded up tent and just said, we're going to do something else. So as much as all of those images I showed you on my first slide of new products coming in, that's going to start to shift. Some of those guys may or may not be around next year. Some of you in the room that are thinking of stuff, you may end up saying, hey, I'm going to go to a different market. On the sports side, I think it's interesting. There's less focused talk around that. Maybe it's because we're all scared of Nike and Adidas and Under Armour. But we are frankly bullish that more entrepreneurs are going to take a whack at that market. I think with Nike opening stuff up on the plus side, it's going to be encouraging. And there's a lot going on in the compression T-shirt and the uniform and kind of athletic space, as we also heard today, that gives us optimism on that front. And then lastly, outdoors, not a market that we particularly focus as much in. It is going to be one that we're going to try to look and dig around a little bit more on this year. You know, again, I think everything that GoPro stands for, and you know, with any product in our spaces, there's as much people who love it as many that hate it. There's a tremendous opportunity for other innovation and other products to come to rise on that front. So. With that, I will wrap up. I don't know, Julie, if you want me to take any questions, or else we'll just kind of go to the next panel. Okay, while we're getting set up here, I want to take the opportunity to introduce the 6 entrepreneurs on the next panel. This panel is entitled Next, and what we're going to try to do is showcase through quick demos from each of them some of the new products and innovations that each of them is going to be working on. So I'm going to start on that side and kind of work my way around. That is Julia Hu. Julia is founder and CEO of Lark, and she'll be talking about Lark Life. That's going to be Peter Kuar, CTO of Azumio. Azumio makes a bunch of apps, and you know, I'll be talking about Fitness Trainer amongst other apps. That is Richard Tate. Richard is head of marketing and communications for Hope Labs, and he's going to be talking today about Zamzy. We've got Bruce Bernstein next to him. Bruce is the CEO of Vox Link, also better known as Aftershocks, and you saw the bone conduction headphones earlier. We've got Rob Kaplan, EVP with Curie Technologies. Rob's got a really interesting electric bike somewhere in here, which I think we're going to showcase in a minute. And then last but not least, Juliana Chua. She's principal with Zensorium, and she's going to be talking about Tink. So if we can go with Rob Kaplan first, is that going to be okay? Great.
Thanks very much. So there's been a lot of really cool products that are shown at the show, and a lot of really cool products that are shown here at this environment. I don't know how many of them can literally change the way you move. Curie Technologies is introducing the new Eflow E3 Nitro electric bike. It's the perfect fusion between form and design, along with function and high performance. We want to change urban mobility. Whether you live in the city or whether you're an aging baby boomer like me and you want to just stay active, urbanization is changing the way our country's transportation needs evolve. Two-wheel electric transportation is the future. Bicycle infrastructure build-out is happening, and the Eflow Nitro is the answer to urban mobility for the 21st century. It's true innovation and real performance. It was designed in Switzerland. Curie Technologies is the largest e-bike manufacturer in America. We've been doing this for 18 years now. And we worked with our manufacturing partners in Asia to commercialize the bike. And with its unique design characteristics protected by patents, we offer a really unique ride. Award-winning design, the bike won the gold medal design at the Taipei Bike Show. It's the only time an electric bike has ever won. It's clean. All the features all the components are hidden internally. All the wires flow internally. It's powerful. It's got a 500-watt electric hub motor with a high-capacity Samsung battery pack, along with proprietary intelligent technology and electronics that allow it to perform at levels not seen before. This bike solves urban mobility. As an aside, I forgot my flash drive, which Peter needed. It literally took me 10 minutes to go from this hall to the back end of the South Hall and back to get my flash drive just now. Nobody thought I could do it, including Julie. If you test ride one, we're sure you'll say, this bike can fly. Thanks.
All right, next up, we're going to have Julia come up.
Hey everyone, thanks so much. It's really exciting to be here. So today I want to introduce Lark Life, a way to live smarter. Shall we get the, oh, great. I think, yeah, she's going to click for me, but we just need yeah. We got it. In the meantime, maybe I'll talk about our first product. This is Lark. We started by helping people sleep better. So we actually, we're up here. So no backstory. We're just going to go right into how we're going to live smarter. So what is Lark Life? Well, fundamentally, it's three things. It's an ergonomic daytime wristband that tracks diet and exercise. It's a really comfortable nighttime wristband that tracks sleep and wakes you up silently, of course. And it's a free iOS app. But Lark Life is so much more than a wearable sensor, because at the end of the day, our goal in life is not to hit 10,000 steps a day. It really is to feel better and look better, to be less stressed, and maybe be a little bit more productive. But every time we have these goals, and it's New Year's right now, it's always so hard, and we give up. So I've certainly given up. And that's why we created Lark Life. We brought together the world's best experts. So neuroscientists from Stanford, Sherry Ma, who coaches NBA stars and Olympians on how to break world records through sleep. We've brought together behavior change experts, scientists, and coaches, and created an automated system that helps you feel great and teaches you how to feel great in the moment so you don't have to think about it. It's like your personal fitness trainer, a nutritionist, sleep coach, productivity coach, wrapped into one. How does it work? So this is the timeline of your day. Lark Life is actually capturing in real time, automatically and passively, all the things that you're doing for yourself. Your workouts, your meals, your sleep. And it nudges you with good things to come. There's not a lot of numbers here because we want to simplify things. We just give you a quick roadmap, and we nudge you to stay on that roadmap with a friendly voice that's coaching you. So this is me. I actually came into CES last night, didn't have a great amount of sleep. I'm sure you guys are pretty sleep deprived as well. So Lark Life in the morning recommended a quick jog. So I did one. It tracked about a mile. But what's really exciting is that Lark Life goes beyond just this tracking. It tracks diet, sleep, and exercise. It takes all of this information and synthesizes it through our expert-created system, and then tells you in real time the best thing you could be doing at this moment. So this is the advice that I got. This is the voice of the coach that was talking directly to me. And it told me at 9 o'clock, you should eat breakfast. Because you didn't sleep last night very much, you should eat some extra protein to help you get the long-lasting energy to make it through the day. Our Fortune 500 coach tells that to his Fortune 500 CEOs. When people are not sleeping a lot at night, and you have key decisions to make in the morning, try to eat 2 egg whites before you go into that meeting, because it'll actually speed up your brain. So we just launched into Apple stores, and we're really excited to just share with you guys all the little things that Lark Life is doing, and gradually learning to do better, to make a better life. So thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Juliana. I represent Zenzorium, and we are based in Singapore. I'm the principal of the business innovation team. So I'm just going to wait for my slides to be put up, and then we'll continue the talk. So maybe you want to go to the first slide. Is that okay? All right. Can we also go into the play mode? Right. Thank you, guys. All right. So if you ever have been to admitted hospital, chances are they slip a little device that's called to take a reading, and this device is called a pulse oximeter. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it before. They come in different form factors. The Bluetooth version, we has also been talking about it, and we also have some other manufacturers trying to come out with such a device. But what you see over here is actually a light sensor. They actually shine lights at different wavelength to detect for your heart rate and also the level of oxygen in your blood. So you want to kind of train your lifestyle, but what are the parameters that you should really be looking, and what are the integrated and simplified solutions out there that you have in the market? So this is the flagship product that we have right now. It's as small as on my finger right now. So just put it in my pocket any time of the day. We've been doing the R&D for the past 2.5 years. This is how it looks like. What we did, like the design architecture, there's no strap required, no wire, a lot of scientific innovation on it. I'm going to talk in the later slides on the medical technologies. So what you see on the slides over here, we are measuring the 3 parameters. Your heart rate. Oh, sorry, what did I do? Did I do something? Okay. All right, sorry. So you have here your heart rate, your breathing rate, and also the oxygen levels in your blood. So what we are really recommending is not any one-time spot monitoring. It's just a long-term monitoring to gauge your efficiency of your lungs and your heart when they are working together. The next thing that you see over here, what we do for the cardiorespiratory fitness, is delivering your vital index to you. So we have on screen like a 94 vital index to tell you at any point of the day how your 3 heart and your lungs and your oxygen are all functioning together by just a 30-second measurement. The next vital signs that we're doing is also your heart rate variability. That's to test for the rhythm of your heartbeat. So with the rhythm of the heartbeat, you can actually appreciate the effectiveness of your breathing. And that's where we go through another 60 seconds of measurement. You have on the screen some different breathing cycles. You do deep breathing to kind of calm down your abdominal so that it works better to give you a very good emotional wellness and mental wellness too. So these are the 2 main major things that we measure today. So the social connectivity, and I'm going to talk about over here, is really integrating technologies right into your fingertips. So how would you use it is to just plug it into your iPhone, and you'll see that we have trending data. You go on a daily basis or even a monthly basis. How do you measure up? And on the other side of on your right-hand side on the screen, you can see on the world index. So on the left hand, you have seen that 79 will be my vital index, but 77 is what the world is coming at. So I'm not too far from the world of my age group. The next thing is we really integrate everything social aspect. You can see all your friends and family. So today you are all here at the CES show, but what about your family who are in Australia, Canada? How are they doing on a long-term basis? Are you keeping track of them? So this app will be able to integrate everyone that you love and care for and be able to see on screen. So our think is really representing linking the touch. We're actually using reflective optical sensing. The information is at your fingertips, connects to all your iOS devices, to your iPod, to your iPads as well, and the results can be achieved in seconds. So the market outlook that we are looking at. So we have seen like very encouraging data overhand. Like the first one, you see the sales achieved for sports and fitness in 70 billion. There's a clear indication of stronger focus on prevention. The next thing on the investment that you're seeing, there's a 2.15 times growth of investment made by VC's company into mobile-based health companies for the past 2 years. The device sold from 16.2 million in 2011. That's the speculated that will be growing to 93 million. So that's another 5.74 times growth. And of course, on the app for Apple, I mean, like they've been downloaded so many downloads so far. It's good 5.54 growth over the past 2 years. And for the sports and wellness revenue has been improving tremendously over time too. So this is the market projections that we're seeing that's so encouraging. what is really different about our product? A lot of people are asking us, so what is different about you? I mean, there's so much other wellness devices that are out there. So we did a small chart to see how do we compare to the marketplace right there. So we're not saying that we're not the accelerometer, we don't really do motion sensing. We base very strongly on your optical sensing to measure for your heart rate, your respiratory rate, that's the breathing rate, your oxygen in your blood, and also your heart rate variability. So these 4 components actually monitors for your cardio, and it also monitors for your stress levels. So these are the media reviews that we got so far. We did a launch early last year, but that's based on the prototype. So today, just 4 weeks ago, we just launched the product onto the market. You can buy it online, and that's how the media has been giving us very strong feedback and very good, encouraging comments so far. So the team is actually, we have a very small team of 40 of us. So we've been working very hard on the R&D portion. We actually focus a lot of simplicity and sophistication. So we want to deliver a very fine product to the end user. So thank you for all your time. That's all I have to say.
Peter's up next from Zoom.
Hi. Michael showed us a lot of new devices that are coming out in CSS, actually. And what I think that is happening now is all these devices are outgrowing the early adopter market and are beginning to come into a wider spread use. And all these new devices are easier to use as it was before. They are more affordable, the prices go down, and most importantly, all of them connect to a phone as a display device. And that's the crucial component here, because the phone is the device that kind of provides the context of the data, and also helps users act on the data itself. If we forget about connecting the devices to the phones themselves already have a lot of sensors built in, very powerful sensors. And at Azumia, we try to use them to the fullest. In one of our apps, Instant Heart Rate, we basically use the camera to do the same as presenter before me explained, basically. You put your finger on the camera for 10 seconds, and we measure your pulse. So we shine a light in the finger and look at the reflections back, and these reflections change in sync with your heart. So that helps us calculate the heart rate. We use the same technology for analyzing stress levels based on heart rate variability, and for lowering stress. One of the other apps that we also have for pretty much the same purpose is scanning your face using the front camera for about 15 seconds. And we look for small changes in the color of your skin on the face, and we can analyze heart rate from that. Other sensors that were also mentioned today are like our accelerometers. But we don't use them for motion tracking or like for activity tracking. We use them for sleep analysis. So in sleep time, we use the sensors built into the phones to watch how you move during the night, and we can analyze sleep patterns out of that. And why this is important, it gives you awareness of your sleep habits, and we can also optimize your wake-up time. We can pick up the best time to wake you up so we don't wake you up from the deep sleep. And that's how you feel better when you wake up. Other than that, the phone is also a good content device. It has a big screen, or you can stream on the TV if you want. We have other apps that are basically, for example, Fitness Buddy or Fitness Trainer are apps that show you step-by-step how to properly do workouts. We have Fitness Buddy for doing workouts in a gym on equipment, and we have Fitness Trainer that's more tailored for workouts at home without any equipment. So our goal at the end is really like making the phone the tool that helps you live a healthier life. Thanks.
Good afternoon. Everyone's still awake? My name is Richard Tate. I'm here with two hats. I work for an organization called Hope Lab, a nonprofit out in Redwood City, California. And for about 10 years, we've been working, designing technology to support kids' health, to conducting both scientific research as well as efficacy and outcomes research to inform the development of the work that we do. But I'm here today also with a hat on for a company that I work with called Zamzy, which is a social enterprise spin-out from Hope Lab, which we launched about 2 years ago with a product that's focused on physical activity, specifically getting kids and families to move more. Before I tell you a little bit about Zamzy, I want to start by introducing you to a woman named Cindy. She's a mom in Atlanta, Georgia, and these are Cindy's 3 beautiful young daughters, Abigail, Rachel, and Addison. Cindy recently heard from her family physician that her daughters are at risk for some serious health problems because of their family's sedentary lifestyle. In fact, Rebecca was recommended to spend a summer at a weight loss program, and this was a real wake-up call for Cindy. She was really embarrassed and ashamed. She herself has fought her weight all her life and has really struggled to be physically active. We all know behavior change is hard. It's really hard to change your kids' behavior, and it's really hard to change the behavior of your entire family. Cindy needed help, and luckily she found Zamzy. Now, Zamzy is an activity meter that measures activity and physical movement, and a website that makes moving fun. The activity meter itself is similar to a lot of products that you see on the show floor. It's an accelerometer with a built-in USB. It connects to a computer. It measures time and intensity of movement, so we can see whether kids are moving at a moderate rate or a vigorous rate, a healthy rate that's getting up their heartbeat. And this connects to a computer, and that activity is translated into points. The real point of differentiation for us, we believe, is, the website that we've developed. What we're really about is motivating kids and families to move more. And to do that, we've applied some pretty sound principles of motivational science. There's a lot of data out there to inform the way that we design technology to change positive health behavior. We use a combination of extrinsic rewards, things like badges, gift cards, even toys that kids can earn by moving around. That jumpstarts physical activity. It gets kids really excited. But the thing that sustains behavior change is a positive mindset, intrinsic rewards that get kids moving more because they actually love to do it. And it's that combination that translates into long-term behavior change. There are 5 core principles that inform all of the design of our website. The principles are mastery, autonomy, purpose, relatedness, and competence. And those are the things that we think about as we develop features for the website. The site, as I mentioned, contains a lot of gamification elements, but the way that we reward points, the way that we display those to kids and families, all are wrapped up in creating that positive psychological experience of success and improvement over time for kids. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about science. I mentioned Hope Lab is a research-based organization, as is Zamzy. And Michael mentioned earlier that one of the things that investors in the marketplace are looking for is efficacy data. Do these things really work? That's important to us at Zamzy. It's also important to us because our focus in business has been to collaborate with hospitals and clinics, focusing specifically on people who are looking for validated health outcomes and parents and families who are seeking support for the issues that they face in terms of sedentary behavior. We announced in November results from a 6-month efficacy study with 450 middle school students that was sponsored by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. And results from that study showed that kids who had access to that Zamzy motivational website were moving around 60% more than kids who were not. That's an incredible amount of behavior change. Particularly exciting was that impact lasted out for 6 months, the entire 6 months of the study. You can see the durability of that increase in physical activity over time. That was really exciting stuff for us. But the things that's gotten us really excited, particularly in a clinical setting when you're talking about health outcomes, is these. These are biological measures of health that resulted from kids wearing Zamsi and accessing the website for up to 6 months. We saw kids manage their cholesterol better and their blood sugar levels better, 2 key indicators for heart disease and diabetes in the long term. But for us, really, and for all of us in this room, it's about how we design technology to have impact on those individual consumers and families to improve their health. Cindy shared with us that she saw an incredible amount of behavior change among her girls. And most importantly, she saw that happen in a way that was fun and brought them together as a family. And we believe there's great power in combining fun and gaming and technology to promote positive health behavior and creating businesses that can both return profit to investors and improve people's lives. So thank you for your time. I'd be happy to answer any questions after the show.
I guess they saved the best for the end. I'm Bruce Bernstein, President and CEO of Aftershocks. We make bone conduction headphones. The technology allows for you to keep your ears open. As you can see, I'm wearing a pair of our wireless Bluetooth headphones, and my ears are open. I do have some slides. I love coming to a technology show where the technology doesn't just quite, here we go. Anyway, so we're Aftershocks we'd like to look at right now is the next must-have gadget. It's kind of sports headphones, which have been the fastest growing category within the headphone space, but these are sport headphones evolved. It's a very significant market. The health and fitness area, which is why we're all here, has been growing rapidly. There are 49 million people who are running or jogging every day. 27 million people do so over 50 times a year, and there are 48 million bikers out there, 12 million downhill skiers. I think you get the point. There's a lot of folks out there doing a lot of stuff. The open-ear design allows for, it's much safer. It keeps you situationally aware so that you can hear your surroundings. And as a result of the fact that there's nothing going in or over your ear, they're significantly more comfortable. It's very stable. The wraparound headband, you can be jumping up and down, and they're going to stay right where they were, and they work with smartphones, iPhones, all of the smart devices that are out there. Anything that has a headphone jack in it is going to be compatible with the Aftershocks headphones. So our patent-pending bone conduction technology allows sound to transfer through vibrations through your cheekbone. And your eardrums are bypassed completely. And the technology itself was developed for military and law enforcement use. In fact, some of you may have seen the movie Dark 030 about our SEALs going in and getting Osama bin Laden. They use bone conduction technology to communicate with the folks that are on the streets on the feet. So when you see that little picture of Beethoven there, Beethoven, who was deaf, composed many of his symphonies just holding a little tuning fork in his mouth, and was able to then hear through the vibrations in his head what he was playing, even though he couldn't actually hear it. So by being safer and being situationally aware, the possibility of being hurt by just going for a morning walk or a morning jog is reduced. Those accidents have been up over 300% in the past 3 years. Our friends over in Great Britain did a research study and found that 17 accidents a day are caused by what they call iPod oblivion, which is a very catchy phrase. There's been legislation both in Japan and Britain and in several states here in the U.S. that are banning headphone use that completely block your hearing when you're doing outside activity. So it's just not safe to walk or run or ride or drive when your ears are blocked. So situational awareness, we're trying to create that as being a new buzzword here at CES. And we find that our market has not just been geared towards sports, outdoor sports enthusiasts, but hearing impaired have found that they're able to use our bone conduction technology to listen without having, if they're wearing hearing aids, without having to remove their hearing aids. If they have other hearing disorders, many of them have found that they've been able to enjoy headphones and listen to stereo music, which is something that many of them have not been able to do. For the sight impaired, they've been using our bone conduction technology for echo navigating, which are specially designed GPS devices that allow people who have sight impairment to be able to go out and do things on the outside, but yet while they're listening to the instructions of where they are and where they need to go, they can still be listening to their surroundings. We have music and entertainment. A number of musicians have found this as a relatively inexpensive stage monitor, so they can not only listen to what they're putting out to the audience, but they can also hear the audience feedback. Corporate environments. Here in the States, we've been having conversations with the folks at General Motors about using our headphones on the factory floor, where OSHA does not allow for the ears to be blocked for the safety reasons, and they're in the process of testing those now to see if they can be compliant, meaning they can listen to music, but they're still able to hear their surroundings. Hands-free driving and commuting. Another area where having your ears blocked in some instances is illegal, but having your ears open, and like my Bluetooth headset that I'm wearing right now, which allows you to do that and still be in touch with your surroundings. We have 3 products in our lineup. This is our flagship, the Sports M2. It's an ears open phone. It's lightweight, nice color, black, like Henry Ford said. You can have any color you want as long as it's black. Small inline controls for operating without having to fiddle around to control volume and tracks. They're sweat and water resistant. It has a reflective safety strip on the back, so if you're out at night doing whatever it is that you're doing at night, people can see you doing it, maybe. And it comes with a hard storage case. Several awards that we've won here at the show. 2 of our 3 products won CES Innovation Awards. We won the 2012 Wall Street Journal Technology Innovation Award for the Consumer Electronics category. GeekBeat provided us with their Editor's Choice Award for 2012. And we were PC World's one of the most innovative tech gear products in 2012 was another award that we ran. We've had a lot of buzz both over the course of this past year. We've only been, this is our second CES. Wired called us easily the best bone conduction headphone on the market. Not a lot of bone conduction phones on the market. Gizmodo had, and this is just recently, they said, these are the first headphones I might actually consider wearing while biking around New York City. And women's health, and the women's market is a big one. Tunes may keep you moving, but tuning out can be dangerous. So the next stop for us is our open-air wireless Bluetooth headsets, the ones that I'm wearing right now. We're globally launching them here at the 2013 CES. And with that, I say thank you very much. Do come and visit us. We're at booth number 26522, right in the South Hall. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that ends the 2013 Sports and Fitness Tech Conference. I want to thank all of our panelists, our speakers, and our sponsors, and especially Michael Yang, who has decided to host a very nice reception where we can all exchange business cards and recap the day. Thank you, and I'll see you in 2014.